Tonight, with us live, Austin Metcalf, just 17 years old, stabbed dead. Joining us now, his father. This after Carmelo Anthony found guilty in Austin's stab death at a high school track meet. Good evening, I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
The trial is over, the jury has spoken, and the sentence is in.
A fatal stabbing over a seat in a tent?
The jury only deliberated for 3 hours.
3 hours. Defense really didn't have much of a shot, but if it was 3 hours, you know that there's not a lot you could have done. This was going to be a guilty.
Carmelo Anthony, guilty.
Joining us tonight, a very special guest, now known across the world as Austin's dad. Jeff Metcalf is joining us, who now, I believe, has racked up over 100 death threats. Okay, let me just remind everyone, you're the victim. Your son, your twin boy, was stabbed through the heart with a piercing stab that not only punctured his heart, but was so brutal, so vicious, it went all the way into Austin's bone in his chest. There was no way he could survive, even though his twin brother tried and tried there in the rain under that tent to save Austin's life. On that body cam, you can hear the twin screaming, praying, screaming all at once, trying to save his brother's life. And somehow you're getting death threats. Explain.
I wish I had an explanation for it. I really don't understand. I understand people can be upset about the verdict and it didn't go the way they wanted to, but it was a fair trial, and now they're claiming it's not. And I understand they're going to look for any avenue they hope and pray that they could get an appeal. I understand it's due process. They're entitled to it. I really don't. I think the judge did a good job of keeping everything under control and in order, and all procedures were followed correctly. They're entitled to an appeal. I honestly don't think it will be granted, but that's the way the system works. And the system also works by being convicted of murder also. So
that's important, Mr. Metcalf. You stated convicted of murder. He was not convicted of manslaughter. He was not convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The jury knew about those possibilities. He was convicted in first-degree murder. And I want to clarify something that we have heard over and over and over, that this was an all-white jury. It was not. That is
Correct.
A lie. There were Asian jurors. There were, I believe, this off the top of my head, 3 Hispanic jurors. There were jurors that were from Middle East descent.
Yes.
Those are not white jurors. This jury pool, and I'm referring to the Pettit jury, not the pool of 200 that you bring in to strike the jury. The Pettit jury is the 12 jurors and the alternates. In the Pettit jury, there were Hispanics, Asians, and people of Middle Eastern descent. So why is it just so convenient for people to say it was an all-white jury, it wasn't fair? That is not true.
They need a narrative to spin. They're hanging on for dear life at the end of the rope, and they're running out of time, and they're running out of things to say, and they're desperate.
I was stunned. I don't know if you were, Mr. Metcalf, when the defense did not put the defendant on the stand, because in every self-defense case I have ever prosecuted or investigated, you really have to hear from the defendant. You have to hear their side. Nobody can. Self-defense is when you, the defendant, are in immediate fear, immediate fear of serious physical, bodily harm, or death. Immediate fear that you're going to die. Who else can describe your immediate fear other than you? Nobody. That said, he chose to take the Fifth Amendment. He did not testify. We can only wonder why, but, well, I've definitely put the cart before the horse. Let's start at the beginning. I want to start with where you were and what happened the day that Austin was killed.
I can remember it clear as day. I was standing in this room right here in my living room, and the phone rang. It was Coach Jackson, and he said he received a report that Austin was stabbed at Kirkendall Stadium. It took me about 4 minutes to get there. I live very close to Kirkendall Stadium. I was able to get there when they were putting Austin on the gurney. And that's when I saw his face and saw him and saw the blood. And when I saw his face, I've seen death before, and I knew he was gone. And that image will probably never be gone out of my head. As soon as I was screaming at the EMTs, what hospital? Once I found that out, I just turned into what I call survival instinct mode. And I went into, okay, where's Hunter? I need to find Hunter. And so I went to Hunter. He was hysterical. I just tried to calm him down enough to where, we prayed together. I said, let's get in the car. I need to get you. Let's go to the hospital. We drove to the hospital. We're praying all along. I didn't really want to tell him what he already knew himself. When I saw the doctors walk in, I knew what they were fixing to say. And when they told us that Austin had passed away, Hunter just lost. We all lost it, but Hunter especially. And it took 5 people to hold him down. We had to get him sedated and just admitted for a little bit, and then we couldn't even see the body for hours because now it was a crime scene and they had to process the body. And so at that time, friends and families and students just started gathering at the hospital. And eventually, everyone heard the news, and from there is where I just started to understand what I needed to do, what needed to get done, find burial plots, arrange funeral arrangements. There was just a ton of things that had to be handled. And I was pretty much numb, and I guess in shock maybe. Realistically, I think it's when God carried me the most, because I was able to speak to some reporters and get the story out. And even to this day, when I go back and watch those interviews, I really don't remember a whole lot what I was saying. It's been very hard for everyone. But I want to point out something that some people I think are overlooking a lot is the minors that were there who saw it and who had to testify. And every one of those children are receiving counseling. And I can't first, I want to say thank you to the parents for allowing your child to testify and do the right thing. Because I know, with me being swatted 6 times, my ex-wife Megan being swatted a few times, they were concerned. They were concerned for their own safety and for their kids' safety, which is totally understandable. But being able to, and this is why I think, I'm not for sure, but I think this is probably one of the reasons why the trial wasn't televised, because there were so many minors that were involved that they don't need to be. They had to relive this day again, which just tears me apart for them. And no one says, yes, I'm a victim, but realistically, all these other kids who saw this and have to live with it for the rest of their life, they're victims too. And the ripple effect through his friends, through our family, it affects everyone, not just my family and the Anthony family. And it's been really hard, especially being under the gag order for so long, while I just had to sit by and watch everyone trashed my son and my family and spread lies and mistruths. And to this day, there's a certain part of people in the society that they can't accept the verdict. They can't accept the truth that was presented at trial. Those were the facts. They weren't opinions. They weren't some made up crap. It was presented, and the jury made a decision based on the evidence. But you're right. For a defendant not to testify in a self-defense case, it raised huge questions just for me. I mean, if I was accused of something, yes, I would want to get up there and sing my song and tell him, this is exactly what happened, this is what I was thinking, and this is what I did. For him not to even try to tell his side of the story tells me, or lets me form my own opinion about
Well, what
why.
it tells me, Mr. Metcalf, is that he could not survive cross-examination on his story. That his
No.
lawyers thought it would be too dangerous and too damaging to put him on the stand. That is why defendants typically don't take the stand, because they cannot
Yeah, and I
survive
have-
cross-examination, or their story will unravel. For
Well,
instance, if you did not intend to do a crime, why did you take a knife? And the knife has been greatly belittled in the press. The knife has been referred to as, hey, it's not even a deadly weapon, it's 1 inch. No, it's not. It's just a little shorter than the K-bar knife used in the Brian Kohberger slaughter. Look, I want to see it again, please. That is a deadly weapon. I mean, the law is that whatever causes a crime, whatever causes a murder, is a deadly weapon. It can be a car, it can be fists, it can be feet, it can be anything, a baseball bat, that results in a death. That is a deadly weapon. So I don't know why people are trying to minimize this. I think I know why, Mr. Metcalf, because the fact that you take, as you and I have discussed many times, obviously off air, my
Yes, ma'am.
son played soccer, and my son did track, basketball, you name it. He's never taken a knife to a track meet. Why did Carmelo Anthony take a knife to a track meet?
That question only he can answer, and I guess we'll never know. I need to give credit where credit's due. Bill Rosinski, the ADA, Greg Willis, the DA, and the entire team of attorneys and investigators. They did an outstanding job, and they worked, I know for a fact, 7 days a week, 2 months before the trial. They didn't have a day off. They were prepared. They did their homework, and be honest, Bill destroyed even their witness. And after seeing the performance that Bill had done with the previous witnesses, I'm 100% sure that had a lot to do with them saying, we cannot put you up on the stand. This prosecutor will destroy you.
Summertime expenses stacking up fast. For many, the only option is swiping that credit card, leaving you trapped in a cycle of high interest debt. But go to American Finances, talk to them. They look at your current debt and can show you how your home equity can work for you. Imagine rolling that high interest debt into one very manageable monthly payment. No upfront fees, zero pressure from salary-based consultants. Why is that important? Because they're not on a contingency fee. They're not salespeople that are going to get a cut if they sell you their services. On average, their customers are saving $800 a month, not $800 in all, $800 a month. Start today, and you might be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. American Financing, America's home for home loans. 866-888-0344. 866-888-0344. Or simply go online to AmericanFinancing.net/Nancy. AmericanFinancing.net/Nancy. And good luck. In hindsight, this is what the Anthony, and I'm talking about Carmelo Anthony, the defendant, now convicted in the murder of Austin, your teen boy. This is what they have to say.
Everyone actually lied on the stand.
Everyone.
All of the witnesses' statements were inconsistent. All of them.
We called about 17 eyewitnesses, and it was a very diverse group of young men. and women that came into court to testify. And the jury that saw that quickly realized this case was never about race. This case was about murder, plain and simple.
That's my friends at CBS 11 and Fox. First, you were hearing Mrs. Anthony speaking, Carmelo Anthony's mother. She's sitting there along with Mr. Anthony. And you know what, Mr. Metcalf? I get it. Let me see Mr. Metcalf, please. Mr. Metcalf, I swear to you, if the angel Gabriel came down from heaven and told me to my face that my son or my daughter, my twins, had committed murder, I would say, you are a liar. You're lying. I wouldn't believe it because I don't want to believe it. So I understand where the parents are coming from. I get it. She says, but that is actually a phrase, an argument that I would argue in closing arguments until I was blue in the face. Do you believe that every one of the state's witnesses are lying? All of them are lying, and he is the only one telling the truth? Does that make sense to you? No, because it's not true. But that is what the Anthony family, they truly believe, that all the witnesses lied. You were there, you were in court, gavel to gavel. What did the witnesses tell the jury under oath?
Well, when she talks about discrepancies, there were some as far as the total exact recall of every detail, but every single witness said he was the aggressor. He was asked to leave multiple times. One witness even testified, a couple witnesses testified, they even heard Austin tell him, hey, I don't want to fight you, man, and attract me. And I understand, because grief has many different stages, and denial is one of those stages. And I think that's where they're living in right now. I think it would be hard to accept the fact that your son is going to prison. I mean, I understand it, but you also have to understand and show. They haven't shown any accountability or remorse, and that's what I have an issue with. It's always playing the victim on their side, which the true victim in this whole case is my son, Austin. He's the one who was stabbed to death in the heart with a knife by your son. So I'm sorry you're in denial, but the facts have come out. You're going to have to live with those facts, and you're going to have to live with the fact that your son is a convicted felon murderer who is sentenced to a time in prison. And that is the cold, hard truth. Now, you can hang your hat on an appeal, and I understand if I'm a parent, I would do everything possible also to try to save my son. I understand from a parental point of view. But my parental point of view is if my son did this, I would hold him accountable. I would make him apologize. I would be profusely telling the other family, I am so sorry. Is there anything I can do to help? I can't believe this happened. And that was not the reaction. It was from day one. Family members from this family, Kevin Hayes posted a long list of just blatant lies, saying he was jumped, his phone was broken, there was a big fight. And I hate to try to paint the other side like they're trying to lie, but the truth is they all came out with a bunch of lies. Oh, it wasn't a knife, it was a cleat sharpener. Well, no, that's been debunked. My boys were actually under the tent when Carmelo walked under the tent. The boys didn't walk up on him. We were already there. And as far as the video goes, yes, I've seen the enhanced video. The whole encounter between him and Austin lasted about 12 seconds. And you could see a push to the shoulder. Doesn't even make him take 3 steps back. It's a push. And then there's an immediate stab. Immediately. And I mean,
well, isn't it true, Mr. Metcalf, that witnesses stated, and I want to circle back to what we learned at trial, not what was said before or after, but what evidence the jury heard. Isn't it true, witnesses stated that Carmelo Anthony said, touch me and you'll see what happens? That does not sound like self-defense. That sounds like provoking. By the way, that video we're showing you is from our friends at NBC. Didn't that come out in court, or do I have it wrong?
Yes, it did come out in court, and yes, he did say that. There was also some other things, some more colorful language that he used, but I'm not gonna use that language on air. But there was other provocative gestures and words that were also used that was just basically antagonizing.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Mr. Metcalf.
Yes.
Under the law, we look at, when you have a self-defense case, the first thing you do is say who's the aggressor. In this case, Carmelo Anthony, now convicted of murder by a jury that is not all white, goes over to your son's tent. They're all seated. Most of them are seated under the tent. It's drizzling. I've been to 1 million games, 1 million track meets, soccer, football, you name it. It rains, and everybody just sits there. It's no big deal. It's kind of expected. You're going to get rained out. You're going to be in the rain. But Carmelo Anthony goes under your son's team tent. Nobody does that. You think Wemby of the Spurs, Wembanyama, is going to go sit on the Knicks bench? No, you don't do that. Nobody does that. So why would he go unprovoked? Had never met your son. That was established too. Goes under your son's team tent with a knife. That makes him the aggressor under the law. He was repeatedly asked to leave. He says, touch me and find out what happens, with his hand in his pack on the knife. Your son goes like that. He takes out a knife and stabs him in the heart. That is what happened, according to all the witnesses. Do I have it right, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what happened. I mean, in Texas, there are elements you have to meet for self-defense, but if provocation is involved, and also a lot of people don't understand the law in Texas. Yes, we have the castle doctrine. Yes, we have a stand your ground doctrine. Neither of those applied in this situation if you know the law. We have a lot of armchair attorneys out in Facebook that think they know everything, which cracks me up. But when you look at the law itself and apply the 5 elements of self-defense in Texas, he didn't meet those. And the jury was showed the evidence, and they determined that he was guilty. I guess there's not much more I can say other than I wish he would have testified, because the big question remains, why? And I'll be honest, once that verdict was read that he was guilty, his parents and his advocates got up and left. They left that child. For sentencing, they weren't there. She came in and read and did 2-question statement and then walked right back out, which was Kayla. And they weren't there for victim impact statements or sentencing. They left that boy by himself to sit there to hear how many years, and then to hear from our side of the family, and they weren't there. They abandoned that child. I actually felt sorry for him at that moment. I could not believe it.
You're on cross-examination. Who is our next sponsor? Well, here is a probative clue. Meow. Smalls makes fresh human-grade food designed for cats to thrive. While Big Pet Food uses cheap filler, Smalls features 80% animal protein and zero artificial junk. 88% of cat parents report better digestion, softer fur, and more energy for their cats to play. It's a healthy investment your cat will love. If you want to invest in your cat's health, Smalls is giving you 60% off your cat's first order. 60% off, plus free shipping and free treats for life when you go to smalls.com/Nancy. SMALLS, smalls.com/Nancy. 60% off your first order, free shipping, and free treats for life when you head to smalls.com/Nancy. Thanks, Smalls, and thank you from our cat, Cinnamon. Another fallacy, lie, in addition to stating that this was an all-white jury, I just want to get my facts absolutely correct. Dave Mack, give me the jury breakdown real quick.
Nancy, there were a total of 18 jurors, including alternates, and on that jury pool, there were 6 minorities. So of the 18, okay, all included 6 minorities on the jury.
You're right, Dave Mack. 18 jurors, including alternates, 6 non-white, consisting of 3 Hispanics, of Middle Eastern descent, and Asian. 1/3 of the petit jury pool, 1/3, 33.3% non-white. Okay, that's one fallacy. The other fallacy is about the sentencing. Mr. Metcalf, isn't it true Carmelo Anthony could have been sentenced up to 99 years behind bars, but he got 35?
And eligible for parole after 17 and a half. I mean, he could still be out by 40.
And a lot of times in self-defense cases, the conventional wisdom is you're not going to win on self-defense unless you call your client. So I was hoping he would take the stand. I was hoping jurors in our community would get to hear whatever story he chose to tell.
And did Carmelo want to testify in his own on his own behalf, and was?
It was based on everything. It didn't need nothing because everything they said when it's self-defense, they have to prove it. They never proved it.
That is from our friends at Fox News and the Breakfast Club. The parents, and I get it, their t-shirt says, "Believe Carmelo." They want desperately to believe their son. I would want to believe my son. I would believe my son, but the son never took the stand, ever. So there was nothing to believe. I want to go back to being in the courtroom. I want to go back to when Austin was killed. You stated, Mr. Metcalf, that you went to the hospital. You had Austin's twin with you, Hunter. How has this affected Hunter?
It's obviously changed him forever. Hunter is the strongest person I know. He has shown me things I'm not even capable of. The other night when he came by, we spoke, and I looked him in the eye and I said, I need to have a chat with you. And I said, when you stepped up on that witness stage to read your victim impact statement, you were a boy. When you stepped down, I saw a man. I've been trying to teach him, and I've been drilling it into his head for years. Learn communication. Learn how to articulate your words, to express yourself and your feelings in a way where people can understand and identify. I said, well, communication is the key for everything. Your relationships, your wife, your business, your friends, your family. It's all about being able to be understood and effectively communicate that. And when he took that stand, I was really concerned because I knew how he felt about Carmelo. And he followed my testimony, which I myself became very emotional during my victim impact statement. As anybody who was in the courtroom, when I said grief is not sadness, grief is rage, pure, unfiltered rage. And from what people told me, because I really don't recall a lot of it until people told me, but they said I slammed my hand on the table, and I did tell him, look me in the eye, and he never could raise his head the whole time and look me in the eye. But Hunter got up there, calm, cool, direct, powerful words, asked that man to look him in the face. Carmelo looked him up for about 4 seconds and lowered his head again, and then proceeded to tell him what he took from him without becoming emotional, without screaming or yelling, just very monotone, very matter of fact. And when he stepped down, I'll be honest, I couldn't be more proud of my son ever, because I told him, I think what I was trying to teach you, you showed me that you have it inside you now. I know you have it. You can do it. And it made me very proud of Hunter, for him to be able to, at 18, after suffering the trauma, which I cannot even start to imagine, that he was able to maintain his composure, express himself articulately, and then walk away. Because I'll be honest, when I'm within 5 feet of the person who killed my son, I'm just glad there were a lot of bailiffs in that courtroom, because it was very, very hard to keep my composure. And I can't imagine an 18-year-old boy who doesn't have 60 years of wisdom like I do, displayed like he did better than me controlling himself. So I tip my
Mr.
hat to
Metcalf,
Hunter.
you were stating that you took him with you. He was in the car with you when you guys went to the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
And what you were going through. What was Hunter doing at that time at the hospital?
He was he was totally hysterical when I got to him in the locker room. I had to try to get him under control. I just grabbed him and hugged him and prayed. And I had to get him to at least control his breathing at least a little, just so I could get him under control enough just to get him to my car. In the car, he's still hysterical. We're still praying. I'm driving like a maniac to the hospital. And I didn't want to say it, but Hunter said, "Dad, I saw his eyes roll back in his head. I saw his soul leave his body, and mine went with it." I didn't know how to respond to that. It crushed me. Still does.
When you walked out of the hospital that day and you stepped outdoors from being inside, being told that Austin was dead, what went through your mind? What were you feeling? I mean, there was no place to go, nothing to do, nothing to say, nothing could help, nothing could fix what had happened.
No, but I will say this. The support that showed up at the hospital, there were probably 50, 60 students, parents, family, friends. We had so many rooms full and out in the courtyard. I mean, there were over 100 people there. And that helped. I didn't feel alone. And the support, I could feel God doing his work. And he knew what we needed. And the support system that we have now in place for Hunter, myself, Megan, I can't thank these people enough. And for the outpouring of support from people all across the nation that I don't even know, who send me very, very nice text messages, or even actually call me sometimes and just express to me, they tell me I'm some sort of inspiration, or I'm just a man, and God works through many people in many ways. I'm nothing special, but
not
I do
according
believe
to the majority of the public. You're very special, and you stand for something, which is a burden and a compliment, but it's a burden because everything you do or say is going to be scrutinized, and
Yes.
it will mean something, either good or bad, to the crime victim community, which is millions and millions of people. And I want to share something that you said to me during the trial. I was away. I couldn't get to you. And the jury was deciding on the sentence. And you said, "Jury is deciding punishment as we speak." I wrote back, "What is your hope?" I was referring to, what do you think would be a fair sentence? And what you wrote back, I will never forget it, because I was with my twins, as you know. And I wrote, "What is your hope?" And you wrote back that my son will walk through the door again. So it seems to me this whole time you have not been focused on him going to prison for life or him getting a death penalty. It's not been about that. You just want your son to come back through the door.
Yes, but I know the reality. And it's a hard pill to swallow.
When you wake up, does it sometimes feel like none of this ever happened, and then you realize it really did happen?
Early on, I had that, a little bit of denial, but I will tell you this. After the trial was over, I woke up for the first time without the high level of anxiety and dread and this dark feeling that just consumed me for so many months, being under the gag order while I just watched the stuff being spread about my son not being able to say a word to anyone. But after the trial, I did wake up with a sense of, I didn't wake up with anxiety and dread and just, I felt like getting out of bed for a change too. I mean, it's been very hard on my mental health, spiritually, mentally, physically. It has drained me tremendously. And, I'm still not back where I need to be. I mean, I'm not for sure. People don't understand. I mean, I know you, Nancy, we've spoken and you understand loss. We've spoken about your personal loss too. And people don't understand what a loss that you lose someone. I went through a grief group for 13 weeks with my church, and I'm the only person in the group who didn't lose a spouse. And everybody said, your loss is so much different than our loss. And I wasn't trying to minimize their loss, but everyone recognized that losing a child is not a natural procession in life. It's not the right order. You should never bury your children. And, I watched one of my grandmothers bury two of her sons, and I saw what it did to her. And I was young at the time, so I wasn't fully capable of understanding the whole concept and realm of grief and death. And, they were my uncles. I loved them. I was still a kid. But, now I look back about what my grandmother went through and now what I have to go through. And for any parent out there who has lost a child, it's a smaller club. Membership dues are high. It's not something you really want to be a member of. I didn't ask for it, but I was given, as my ex-wife put in her victim impact statement, he was given 35 years. We were all given a life sentence. Yes, he could have got 99 years. The jury chose 35. He's eligible for parole in 17 and a half.
I remember, Mr. Metcalf, after my fiance was murdered, people would say, well, what do you want to happen to the killer? And I remember at the time, I don't feel that way now, but at the time, I would say, I don't care. It doesn't even matter. Keith is dead. It just, none of it matters. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And that same thing happened when I walked by the defendant's table and looked down. All the defense attorneys looked down, couldn't look at me in the eye, and the defendant looked down, would not look at me in the eye. I mean, I think if it had been me charged, I would be screaming, I didn't do it. I'm sorry what happened, but I didn't do it. Nothing. Wouldn't even look up. I've got a question. I've seen this asked many times online, so I'm going to ask you for them. Do you ever feel that Austin is communicating with you?
Yes. Many times. One of the so me, Hunter, and Austin, since they were two, we always went hunting and fishing all the time. And this year, they talk about the first. So July 31st, obviously, is their birthdays. I had to go through that without Austin. And then you have holidays, Thanksgiving, empty chair, Christmas, packages that don't go unopened. And after Christmas, I was out hunting on a new place because we had lost the place we had for 16 years. They had decided to sell, and we had to move on. And I didn't know if I was ever even going to hunt again, to be honest. Oh, that's a great picture. And I'm sitting there all alone in the woods. And on Facebook, they have, that has this memories that pop up, from past years or whatever. And it popped up, and it was the video of Austin that I did when he shot his first buck. And I did like this little interview with him, and they went back and forth, and it was, I'll tell you this, every deer in that county was safe at that moment because I couldn't see through my scope. I sat there for 2 hours in the middle of the woods and just cried. But the dream I had the day after he was killed, he came to me in his little camo and his little smirky smile, and he always called me Pops. And he said, Pops, I'm okay. And that was it. I woke up and I cried for hours. And just the other night, I was on my back porch, just sitting out there in the swing and just thinking about him. And this cardinal comes and lands on my fence and sits there and looks at me. And I don't know if some people know or some people believe, but cardinals are a sign of people that have passed on and have come back to visit you to let you know. And there's little things that happen that he lets me know he's still here. And when I went out to his grave the other day, I actually just laid down on the ground and held him. And he hugged me back. I know where he's at. Austin, so competitive. I told him, look, son, you beat me again. You know, you beat me there, but I'm coming. I don't know when, but I'll see you again. And we'll sit down and you can tell me why. And I'll ask God why. But until then, I really won't have any understanding. I just have to lean into God's plan and his understanding and trust. I just trust God. And he's the only reason I'm still here. I'm glad both my boys knew Christ and what, Jesus Christ was their savior. So, I mean, I don't have any doubt whatsoever that Austin is in heaven. And I'm sure, and I pray that I live my life in a Christian way enough to get my name put in the book too. So I can see my son again, which I totally believe.
Mr. Metcalf, I was just about to ask you, what is your message tonight? But I believe that you just told me. I want you to know that prayers are lifted up for you and for Hunter, for Austin.
And Megan.
All day, every day.
Megan also. His mother.
And Megan.
Yes.
And Megan.
Well, people talk about, my boys come from a broken home. I'm sorry. Megan's a great mom. I'm a good dad. We raised those boys. I mean, they live an hour away. I mean, we're minutes apart. And I showed up. I mean, I got tons of pictures from day one since they were born. I was never an absent father. I never once laid a hand on any woman in my entire life. I mean, the stuff that's out there that, that Austin broke me and whooped my ass and stuff. Dude, that was a jiu-jitsu injury from years ago that I finally had to get my shoulder replaced after I did shoulder rotor cuff surgery the year before. So that incident they talk about was years ago, and we were just training. It happens. I mean, I put myself in the wrong position. And
Mr. Metcalf, let me just stop you right there.
Yes, ma'am.
Please. If you spend your days trying to correct all the lies that have been said about you, you won't have time to live.
No, you're correct. You're correct.
A very, very special boy that is watching you right now by the name of Hunter Metcalf. And he's looking to his father and his mother for the example you are giving him about how to live his life. So forget about all the lies. I know they hurt. I know they're irritating. But you don't have time. No. You don't have time to look back. You don't have time to look to either side. You better keep running, man.
I don't need to defend myself to anyone. I am. I stand by what I say. I stand by what I do. And I'll share this right now. Hunter is not even comfortable with me doing interviews. And I understand his point of view, but I had to explain to him, I've spoken with my counselor. For me to speak about Austin is part of my therapy and healing process. That's the way I will process the grief. Hunter processes it differently. Megan processes it differently. There is no playbook. There is no right or wrong. There is no timeline. Grief is something that each individual has to experience and go through all the stages. And how they do that is totally independent upon them. So, it's a double-edged sword for me to come on and do interviews sometimes because I know Hunter doesn't like it, but I have to do it for me, and I need to carry Austin's name on forever. Because there's been people that have taken advantage of me during this time. And it's terrible that some of the things that have...
What do you mean took advantage of you, how?
I mean, I can call out people by name. I'm not for sure if I should or not, but I mean... there were people that...
Don't use names, but what happened?
I'd love to use names, actually. But because what they did was they stole from me. And I couldn't believe someone would take advantage of a grieving father the way some people have. And
I don't understand. Stole what? What happened?
Well, I'm trying to make this as painless as possible because I'm trying to allow this person to correct the mistake they made. But, we were going to do something in honor of Austin. I won't go into great detail, but we invested in something, and basically it was fraudulent. These people, they were telling me one thing and doing another. And
So they took money from a murder victim's family?
Yes.
Well, that's a whole nother show, which I'm happy to do. Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and stream it first on Fox 1. When breaking crime news develops, we investigate it and bring it to you. Bombshell updates, answers to unanswered questions from cases making the headlines and cases you may never have heard of until Crime Stories. We go inside investigations with exclusive interviews, crime victims, families seeking justice, investigators, experts, and sources from within the case itself. Stay on top of the nation's biggest trials with us, including gavel-to-gavel coverage with real-time analysis. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Stream it first on Fox 1. I hope to see you there, and thank you, friend. Joining us tonight, speaking. He's never really gotten to speak without somebody throwing a hateful question at him, belittling him, trashing his son, trashing his family. I can just say this, Mr. Metcalf. You are quite the example. Thank you for being with us tonight. Godspeed to you and your family, and we will continue praying without ceasing. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Great to see you again.
And tonight, we remember American hero Officer Kristen Yeager, Central Berks Regional PD, Pennsylvania, killed in the line of duty. She leaves behind her husband, Dustin, and 3 children, Tanner, Connor, and Carly, without a mother. American hero, Officer Kristen Yeager. Thank you to Mr. Metcalf for joining us tonight. Nancy Grace signing off for tonight, but God willing, I'll see you tomorrow night. And until then, good night, friends. Hi, guys. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. And if you're on the go, please join us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all our content, where we, in our way, seek justice.